Hold on, this is 6 months ago. Let me find something. They're actually doomed. They got a bocce. Actually, we haven't seen this one. This is 3 weeks ago. All right,
Ichi the
we can watch this one. So this one's from Suffering. It's called The Next Big Shonen Fantasy Manga. I don't know if we did this one, but this is 3 weeks ago, so I don't think so. So let's jump into it.
Ichi the Witch. I have been very excited to talk about this story.
Okay, let me get this in here.
It is phenomenal. It is beautifully drawn. It has two of the most talented people in the industry, and is currently on track to be one of, if not the biggest new manga to come out from Weekly Shonen Jump. I am not a big indulger for fantasy stories. Don't get me wrong, I like them, but there's something about the novelty surrounding fantasy that feels oddly repetitive to me. So a lot of the times I tend to enjoy fantasy stories that have a bit of a hook or a bit of a uniqueness to them that help it stand out on its own a little bit more. Safe to say that I'm wary going into fantasy stories. Ichi the Witch, prior to its release, was something always on my radar for a couple of different reasons, which I'll explain in a moment. Obviously, I didn't know if I'd like this story. I didn't know if it'd be well received in the community. All I know is that it had pedigree behind it. Potent, powerful, incredible author and artists that have history, that are talented, that have a reputation of doing incredible things. Already, this combo between incredible author and incredible artist was shaping up to be something very special, and we're now 20, almost 30 chapters later, and it's paid off exponentially. Ichi the Witch is already selling as much, if not more, than a majority of Weekly Shonen Jump stories.
That's a good thing. I still want to know about that other anime with the one with the dragon.
It has about 300,000 copies in circulation alone, with only 2 volumes in only Japanese, but it's also selling around 60 to 100,000 copies per volume. If you don't care about numbers, that's okay, don't worry. It's doing really good. Big number means big good. Now you might...
Actually, when I think about it now, since the tariffs are pretty much in place in some form, will that make it even more hard to get manga artists to get their manga out? I'm pretty sure.
Ask what has led this story to be one of the new pillars for Weekly Shonen Jump moving forward, alongside Kagurabachi and potentially other new upcomers. A lot of different things. Not only is the story fantastic, beautifully conceptualized, has a unique premise to it, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous, top to bottom, left to right, super creative, super crisp, super pretty, but it also goes back to talent. This is Osamu Nishi. She is the author of Ichi the Witch, and you might know her. She is currently also doing another story in a completely different magazine called Aruma-kun. This is all of the stuff that she's worked on and all of the animation adaptations that Aruma-kun has, including...
Is that anime really good? Because they say it's like, I think it's a funny anime. It's like comedy. Is it actually funny? Or people just say it's funny? Like, is it like funny like how One Punch Man can be pretty funny? Is it like that? Why is this always changing color? Oh, is that the button I've been pressing? Oh, okay, I found it. Okay, there you go.
Spin-offs, etc. This story alone has close to 400 chapters. If you count the spin-offs and everything else, it might be closer to 500 perhaps. That story is very well received. A lot of people really like it. The artist, and someone I've been following for years, is Shiro Usazaki. Now you might remember that name, and unfortunately not for the best reason. Not to bring up or extrapolate a pretty traumatizing past, but unfortunately Zaki was the artist for Act Age, not the author. And with what happened with Act Age and that author's reputation and the disgusting things that they'd done was not only beyond a horrible thing, but had a lasting effect for Zaki, the artist. When that situation happened, and Zaki obviously being innocently connected to something so vile and disgusting, she withdrew from the community, from art, from public eye. And who can blame her? It would take a little bit of time for her to come back to the public eye, to start drawing again, to start doing promotions, and to really find her footing within the industry, but not as an artist for a manga. For a while, it seemed like she was doing promotional artwork for brands, designer brands specifically, a lot of clothing orientated stuff, as that's what she kind of excels within, and you will notice that directly within Ichi the Witch. So when we found out that Ichi would be penned by Nishi, the author of Aruma-kun, and Uzasaki's return to the industry, everyone was over the moon. This story had the most chance to succeed. It was always going to have such incredible support for both of these people, and it has paid off exponentially and not without good reason. I believe that Ichi the Witch, this author, this artist, is a match made in heaven.
Coco says hello, I am back.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the biggest stories for many, many years to come, to reshape and reorganize a lot of Weekly Shonen Jump's priority and focus. That is not to take away from other established incredible stories like Kagurabachi, for example, another very central pillar of Weekly Shonen Jump's future going forward. Both Kagurabachi and Ichi the Witch are special, and for entirely different reasons. If you do not know anything about Ichi the Witch, let me tell you about it. So this is a fantasy story. It's beautifully depicted as one. This world is filled with conceptual beings known as magic, and these magics come in all different shapes and sizes for all different things.
With a K.
Sometimes it can be a physical object, other times it can be metaphorical, other times it can be conceptual. Depending on the level of what those magics represent, they could be incredibly powerful, world-destroying individuals, or they could just be little flies on the wall. A nice range, a nice variety. Now there's a lot of magics in the world, but not an endless amount. There's a lot that have been hunted down by witches. Now witches within this world utilize magics as weaponry. Basically, they have to go out and capture said magic by performing a task that is related to that magic. For example, there is a shark magic within this story, and the requirements for it to be captured is to make it pretty, to make it look beautiful.
Wait,
so
what?
while
Wait, what? Wait, what? What? Wait, hold up. For the shark magic to work, you have to dress it up? I was just about to make comparisons to Black Clover when they just, like, name whatever magic it is based on what they are, but, like, Jesus Christ. You gotta, what the hell?
certain fights and things can obviously happen between witches and these magic. Other ones are relatively dormant. The difficulty is within the requirements and trying to figure out what the magic actually wants. If you can do this, you can acquire said magic and bring it back into your arsenal to wield. Now it's important to note that women are the only witches in this world. It is rooted in their society and how it builds around the power of witches and women in general potentially having latent abilities. A lot of the non-witches that are women
working on Little Princess?
Yes.
within public spaces have the possibility to become witches or to even just use power in general. This would all change, however, with a boy called Ichi, the first male witch. Now his circumstances to becoming a witch is a little bit weird. See, this boy was born and raised on a mountain. We don't see much about his family, we don't see much about friends or anything really. He's just alone on this mountain, but he is a incredibly skilled hunter. And the reason why he hunts is to survive, to eat food, to protect people on this mountain. The difference is that he's not a poacher. He's not hunting things necessarily for fun, but he respects the hunt itself. If something is coming with the intent to kill him, respectfully he returns that same energy. This ideology is very, very important because he comes across a very powerful magic known as King Uro. And Uro has been getting chased by witches for a very long time, but no one could acquire him. He's crafty, he's meticulous, his
Coco
requirements
says, can you draw me
are
for next
unknown
stream?
until
Nope,
Ichi
I don't do that for free. You have to pay for that, sorry.
comes into the picture. This is to say that Ichi actually requires Uro through
King Coco
King
said, oh.
Coco says, oh.
Yeah, you can't be a male witch though. I thought, you know how they want to switch up meanings of things, so they're just gonna run with that. That's actually, a male witch is pretty much a warlock. I think a wizard is like a good version of a warlock, but like anything, I think a warlock is like an evil version of a male witch.
A certain situation. They partially merge together, with Uro becoming one with Ichi and giving him an immense amount of power, unlike anything.
It's like that movie called The Woman King, which is stupid because that just means queen, but they don't want to say that because of gender norms. Because like they don't want to genderify, so a woman could be king anyway. So it's like, fuck. But what's the point of being a queen then?
People have seen before. Even though this turns him into the first known male witch, this isn't relatively a new world for Ichi, while the aspect
said person shrugging emoji.
It's dumb. It varies from show to show. Yeah, it varies.
Of being a witch is the fundamentals, the learning, the people he comes across. The act of hunting down different magic is something he's been doing his entire life. While the end goal is to hunt them all down and acquire them and take out things that would be problematic for humanity, certain magics that hate humanity, like Uro for example, or another magic called the World Hater, Ichi thrives in this.
Bro, your name is the World Hater? Just call me D1 Hater. The World Hater?
Environment.
Our name is
King. Coco says a warlock is a war wizard.
A war wizard? A warlock.
Ryu the Samurai said can't wait for the sequel Man Queen.
Where his talent really lies, and he shows it exceptionally well. The two characters that he would meet and become very close to, Descaris, one of if not the most powerful witches of current day, called the Abyssal Witch, absolutely gorgeous design, and Komugi, someone that's a support, information, medicine, helping hand, aid type of thing. All of them have a lot of comedic relief, and all of them are beautifully drawn. This story has the perfect balance of the high-octane, massive, horrifying destruction and battle-orientated direction that you would want for a weekly Shonen Jump story, but also has the love, the charm, the charisma for its characters. They stand out so much. They have so much personality. They have...
Why does he... These memes, I swear.
So much to give. Descaris is arguably one of the funniest characters in Weekly Shonen Jump. Just off her personality alone, just off the different facial expressions that she makes, how she treats Ichi and Komugi. But the story is also bright and bubbly and balanced perfectly with a ton of disgusting, hateful magic. Personally, Ichi the Witch is the perfect storm. Great story, great characters, great artwork, great ideas, and an even brighter future. Alongside a phenomenal and well-respected author and a phenomenal and well-respected artist. A duo unlike any kind people have seen before. Arguably, perhaps even hands down, the most talented new manga to release in Weekly Shonen Jump.
Okay, is that the end of that? Huh. Alright, so yeah, that was sufferance on the whole next big shonen fantasy manga. The Ichi Witch. Nice. Ichi the Witch, I believe. Anyway, so with that said, let's move on to the next one. Thank you guys. Like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. This video will be on the reaction channel for only...
King. Coco says, how do you get a lot of likes but not that many viewers?
I don't know. TikTok's algorithm is evil towards me, so it sucks. I have many followers, but they don't watch because either their minds are smaller than a fish, because if I'm not drawing some big busty anime girl, oh god, they don't stay for men. So that's just kind of like the annoying part, because people can't sit there and watch art like that unless you're some type of what's the right term? You're like a TCG
King.
artist.
Coco says that's crazy.
It's really frustrating, but it is the life of an artist. You'd be surprised. That's more common than you think. Draw anime girls and people will come. If you draw men, they'll kind of come, but they will never ever stay. So, pause.
King Coco said
King.
Goner.
Coco says Goner.
Anyway, so with that said, like, subscribe, share, phone, comment. Hope you guys enjoy this and like great stuff. And also give Sufferance a follow. I'll put his information in the description so you can check out his channel if you like his voice or you like his videos or his memes or a case may be. All right, so let's move on to the next one.